Whether we understand it fully or not, the mountain of all wealth in and of the earth, no matter its content, size, or value, can ever be considered equal or of greater value than the life and potential of a single being of creation. There is a power and force throughout this realm in which we live. There are many who've made a choice to align themselves with the superficial or man-made construct which we collectively refer to as reality. The structure is one of complex rules and regulation, taxes, tariffs, trusts, and bonds, all drawn up around the single edict of behavior. An idea that a few will control the many by using those same means. That element is used to control us, to steer our motivation in a way that serves a malevolent agenda not our own. From as early an age as we can comprehend, we are taught about division and separation. Our parents share with us, to the best of their ability, their own programming, as they have been products of this same system. Schooling, programming, picks up and continues grooming us. Because, after all, how can education do anything but to serve that from which it originates? I'm not trying to demonize the teachers within. They themselves are products of the same programming and instruction. They are acting on behalf of a policy that is drawn up somewhere else and handed down to them, not for their edification and approval, but for implementation. Much like a bank officer, a doctor, police officer, politician, armed forces commander, etc. We are as much collectively responsible for allowing the status quo to gather our minds in such a way as any farmer or rancher harvesting beef and dairy. The only difference being, the animals need to be corralled or caged, where we humans are simply told we are free. We are educated into believing we need guidance from an elite, select few, which in turn has led us to the present time, where the behavior of sacrificing innocent life in exchange for recording the efficacy of numerous pharmaceutical drugs is acceptable. This is only one side effect, one of the few new behaviors that has been written into a recently developed scheme. We begin to see that real wealth was not the paper of money or the weight of gold and precious stones, but rather the energy emitted from the creative minds of people. Without this, all that supposed wealth sits as a useless lump of product. That technology comes not from a faceless corporation, but from the mind of a creator. Exchanging the perfection of even a single life, animal or human, for a synthetic representation of a saleable drug is, in and of itself, a crime against everything we are.
Got some bread for it. On it. Careful. Don't kick
In every sense, we are a ship with no rudder. The real human being you are, the authentic power you possess, is the antithesis of their control mechanism. They know all about our collective and individual creative abilities, which is why they keep us in a constant state of fear, scarcity, and that nagging feeling of insignificance. And if we can't protect even the smallest of innocent lives, what makes us think our own well-being is safe? If these labs are as safe as advertised, why have they continued to change the designation, morphing them into such benign entities as life science centers, vivariums, etc.? If they were so beneficial, there'd be no reason to camouflage. Word of mouth would establish their brand, and their output would be apparent. The truth is, they're a malevolent undertaking, purposely jammed into heavily populated regions of countries around the world. The beauty, though, just like any magic show, is once you understand how the trick, the magic, is performed, you can't unsee it. You can't be fooled by it any longer, and you begin to see just how exactly where the real value exists. You begin to see why and how this grand deception has been played out upon us for such a long time. You can see how important it's been for them to keep all this truth as far away from any real education as possible. We begin to see how the system has created islands out of us all, using borders, race, religion, gender, politics, food, media, medicine, finance, law, etc. The earth herself is a vital, living, loving organism from which we are all born. It was never meant to be owned by anyone. We're the only species born to this planet that must work and pay to facilitate any type of meaningful existence while here and alive. Yet we take it upon ourselves to decide who gets to live and die, which lives are expendable, and the method of death afforded them. We're playing God where we have no business doing so. In exchange for what? Money? Political gain? An agenda dreamt up by a group of psychopaths? Each individual will have to answer for their own actions or lack of the same. There is always accountability. We can't hide behind an order or the old excuse, I was just doing my job. The Creator, Source, God, whatever you refer to this entity, will make reference to our individual participation, and there will be a reckoning. We all know the difference. It's our collective responsibility. We aren't supposed to run from it or blame someone else. The court of law isn't what we think it is. Instead, it's a vampire of sorts, meant to drain your life-giving energy. Stay out of them. Truth is breaking through all levels of this control matrix. It's apparent to many more people with each passing hour. You're here because you chose to be here for what's to be unveiled, and you have to be mindful and respect yourselves enough to love this truth. Your thoughts, just your understanding of this multi-generational Ponzi scheme, send powerful waves of energetic change out into the ether of the collective. The days of pleading ignorance are over, especially to yourself. Take responsibility for your life, and especially the lives of those with no voice.